Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. A man goes on trial accused of murdering his 20-year-old niece in Bradford. A jury has been told the body of Samaya Begum was dumped like rubbish. Also tonight, let down at every level. We hear from the sister of a Sheffield woman killed in the Manchester Arena attack before the final report into the disaster is published tomorrow.
Everybody failed to protect us on that night, and we will never ever forgive any of them for putting our family in that position.
We take a look at the multi-million-pound transformation of a derelict 1930s cinema in Bradford. And can batting and bowling lead to better mental health? We meet some of the people feeling the benefits of walking cricket.
Well, there was a splash of colour in Knaresborough today, despite the leaden skies. What about the next few days? Join me for the detailed forecast.
Before we start with our top story, a warning that you may find some of the details that are discussed in this report upsetting. A court has heard how a 20-year-old Bradford woman was murdered by her uncle and dumped like rubbish after refusing a forced marriage. Samaya Begum's body was found wrapped in a rug on land in the city in July. Mohammed Tarouz Khan denies murder but has admitted perverting the course of justice. Heidi Tomlinson reports.
Samaya Begum was a 20-year-old woman who was living in Bradford and studying in Leeds. She was living with a grandma and one of four uncles, Dawood Khan. In the prosecution's opening, it was stated that she was living under a forced marriage protection order because her father had threatened her with violence unless she'd agreed to marry a first cousin living in Pakistan. At the time, she'd reported this to the police and moved out. Samaya's auntie described in court how controlling her father had been. He would only allow Asian clothing, wouldn't let her watch TV. He controlled what she ate and insisted on homeschooling. The court heard evidence from Samaya's cousin, who said she seemed happy living with her uncle Dawood. He was described in court as a liberal chap. She was going to uni and had mentioned to her auntie that she was interested in boys. On the 25th of June, she was reported missing from a home on Binney Street in the Barker End area of Bradford. The prosecution says she'd been in constant contact with a particular close friend. They'd been messaging all day, but from 3:30 onwards, those messages stop. And that's when the prosecution alleged that one of her other uncles, Mohammed Tarouz Khan, came to the address and murdered her. At the time, her other uncle was asleep on the top floor of a 3-storey house. Her body was disposed of on wasteland on Fitzwilliam Street, which is where the police found it, wrapped in a rug on the 6th of July, 11 days after she'd gone missing. Her body was partially decomposed and found with an 11-centimetre metal spike embedded into her chest. 53-year-old Mohammed Tarouz Khan admits disposing of his niece's body and attempting to burn her phone, but denies murder. The jury also heard how he was under a restraining order, preventing contact with his own daughter after assuming that she'd been going out with multiple men. His response to this was to thump her, hold a knife to her throat and threaten to chop her up. This was the first day of evidence in this case. It's expected to last for 3 weeks. Heidi Tomlinson, BBC Look North, Bradford.
The family of a Manchester Arena bomb victim from Sheffield say they feel completely let down at every level as they await the final report into the atrocity. Kelly Brewster died in the attack at the Ariana Grande concert in May 2017. Her sister Claire Booth told the BBC each failing revealed by the public inquiry into the bombing had been a kick in the stomach.
She was a firecracker. Life and soul of every party that she ever went to. Loved to travel, be at concerts, nights out. She was just a brilliant little sister, really.
It's been a long inquiry. How difficult has it been to be there day in, day out and reliving that night over and over again?
So many times I thought, I can't You can't surprise me after this. There's been that many surprises, that's got to be it. Listening to Kelly's last moments, she didn't die straight away, which was just heartbreaking to know and to listen to. We feel completely let down as a family at every level. We had right from MI5, GMP, BTP, the arena, ShowSec. Everybody failed to protect us on that night, and we will never ever forgive any of them for putting our family in that position.
Now we know that Kelly and you and Holly went into the city room just a few seconds before the explosion, and Kelly's injuries weren't survivable. But do you feel that Kelly should be here now, would be here now, if it wasn't for mistakes made before the bombing?
1,000,000%, yeah. No, I can't feel any stronger about that. I don't take away from the fact that it was the Abedis that did this, but there were so many factors where it could have been stopped or deterred. You know, if it had just been stopped at the airport, there's so many different times where just one little course of action by somebody that was there to protect us just probably would have changed the outcome of the night. Obviously, we've had Holly, who is horrifically injured. She's just had her 20th operation. She's got some more in the pipeline. She lives in pain every single day, and it might as well have been yesterday for her. We shouldn't be here is ultimately what we believe. We've not yet been able to register Kelly's death because of the ongoing inquiry process. My dad registered her birth. Obviously, he never expected her to die before him. He wants to register her death. He feels that's an important part of what he can do for his daughter. He brought her home from Manchester, travelled in the hearse with her to bring her back to Sheffield. He needs to see it through to the end, and at the moment he can't do that.
At the start of this inquiry, the family said they wanted answers about how and why Kelly died and why the attack happened. Do you feel that you've got those answers?
We definitely know a lot more about why we are where we are. It's been extremely difficult to take in. There's been so many things that's come up in this inquiry where recommendations were made following training events or 7/7 inquiries, the 9/11 inquiry, and the changes have just not been made. We just can't allow that to happen. There needs to be some sort of consequence if you don't follow up on recommendations to make people's lives safer.
And that was Claire Booth there speaking to Matt Trewern about her sister Kelly, who was from Sheffield. The government has said that the participants in the inquiry will respond publicly after the publication of tomorrow's report. Cricket next. The governing body, the ECB, has begun its disciplinary hearing against Yorkshire County Cricket Club today. The club is accused of improper conduct, bringing the sport into disrepute. It comes 2.5 years after Azim Rafiq made accusations of racism at the club. The hearing is taking place in London and it'll be conducted in public, a first for the Cricket Disciplinary Commission. Matt Graveling reports.
It's been a damning day for English cricket as the Sports Disciplinary Commission has heard details of a number of alleged incidents of racist abuse aimed at the former Yorkshire spinner Azim Rafiq. The panel heard evidence from 4 of the 7 men charged with bringing the game into disrepute, including the former player Gary Balance, who admitted to his charge and also admitting to asking Rafiq if his dad owned a corner shop. Former England bowler Matthew Hoggard denies creating a racist nickname for Rafiq in 2008. And another former England bowler, Tim Bresnan, is accused of referring to Asian players as brothers, spin twins and new lot. He denies any racist intentions. And finally today, the panel heard how the former player John Blaine denies using racial slurs in 2010 and 2011. It's important to note that all this evidence was heard in the absence of the 4 men. 6 of the 7 men charged have withdrawn from the disciplinary proceedings, saying that they don't trust the process. But one man who has been charged and is expected to give evidence here tomorrow is the former England captain, Michael Vaughan. He categorically denies any allegations of racism.
You're watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme.
We're live at Bramall Lane, hoping for an FA Cup upset as Sheffield United take on Spurs.
But before that, let's tell you about some other stories coming into our newsroom today. A bus route in North Yorkshire, voted Britain's most scenic, will not be axed. The 840 Malton to Whitby coastliner had been facing closure next month, but will continue to run over the summer. Operator Transdev said there have been impressive increases in customer numbers. The company said it would work with North Yorkshire County Council to plan for the long term. Sheffield City Council has apologised after flying the wrong flag to celebrate St David's Day. They hoisted the national flag for Scotland, a blue and white St Andrew's cross, this morning. It was later replaced with the flag of St David, the patron saint of Wales. 4 years ago, the council had to say sorry after flying the Welsh flag on St Patrick's Day. Now, work to transform Bradford's former Odeon Cinema into a brand new 4,000-person performance venue is back on track and should be completed within the next 12 months. The multi-million-pound project suffered a setback last week after a small fire broke out in the roof of one of the building's turrets. But the backers of what will be known as Bradford Live are confident it will be open to the public in 2024. Here's our business correspondent, Spencer Stokes.
A building that sparked so much debate, getting the new lease of life that many hoped for. Rebuilding began 2 years ago. Spring 2024 is the planned completion date. There have been plenty of construction snags along the way.
The original fibrous plaster here, which is in pretty poor state.
But the local businessman who's led the project can see an end in sight.
I think relieved would be the word. If you can imagine, this building was closed in 2000, so a whole generation of Bradford people have never been inside it. And so they don't really know what it is. And you know the sheer size of it inside. It's big from the outside, but when you come inside, you appreciate just how enormous it is. So I think we'd like to see people's faces light up, really, when they see what they have here in their city.
A fire was the latest issue to contend with. Flames broke out last week in one of the octagonal turrets. A newly installed copper roof had to be cut through to fully extinguish the blaze. Damage is being assessed. The main auditorium, meanwhile, is a maze of scaffolding. It'll eventually host up to 4,000 people, similar to Hull's Bonus Arena, but with historic features. Work is also ongoing in the former ballroom. Original leaded skylights will be returned here. Much of the work possible due to support from Bradford Council.
We have to invest to grow the economy. It will bring people to the district. Then when you go to a show, you might go to eat out on an evening, you might book a hotel as well, you might take the time to see the rest of what Bradford has to offer, not just in the city centre, but going out to our mills and hills, as we say, for our City of Culture year as well. So it really does just stimulate the wider economy.
The sense of excitement has spread across the road to the Impressions Gallery, where an exhibition details the former cinema, attracting those who remember the building in its heyday, when the Beatles played there 3 times.
And here I am in the queue. This is 64, the height of Beatlemania. You could see them, but you couldn't hear them because of the ladies screaming. But absolutely, tremendous times. I'll be right back there and with the family now, the kids and the great-grandkids will be able to enjoy it just as I did as a teenager.
The building is worth every sacrifice, really. It's a magnificent building. And I think Bradford as a city deserves this building. Bradford's been laughed at for many years, and I really think the city will have the last laugh, and this building will play a part in that.
15 years ago, the Odeon was on the brink of demolition. A glass office complex planned for the site, saved by a grassroots campaign and now well on the way to reopening as a landmark entertainment venue. Spencer Stokes, BBC Look North, Bradford.
That'd be great for this city, won't it? I wonder who the first act will be. Next tonight, we're going to hear from a woman from West Yorkshire who's been speaking out about her life with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and suspected autism. Now, she wants to encourage others to understand how people with the conditions see the world. Lauren has been questioned about why she wears headphones in public, and as a result, she's sharing her story to help others. She spoke to our reporter, Jacob Tomlinson.
My upbringing was the same as anybody else's. My life was pretty good, except I just didn't fit anywhere. And I really believe that autism could be a superpower. I mean, I really, really do. So I'm Lauren. Hey, hi, nice to meet you. I'm neurodivergent. I am officially diagnosed with ADHD. I am on the wait list for diagnosis of autism. What does that mean? That means that my brain is slightly different. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Walking through town with my headphones on is fine, but people don't understand why I wear them. Everything's just more, it's just more. And that means if everything everywhere I go is more, it's just a bit overwhelming. I was driving to find a parking space and there was a car behind me. I checked my mirrors, I seen that this guy had his car window wound down. And I was like, please don't talk to me today, because I really don't want to be spoken to today. You know, I had my earphones on for a reason, noise was a problem. And he said, it's illegal to drive with them on, you know, and he pointed to his head. My brain went, this is what it feels like for other people to be challenged on who they are as people. So I put a post on social media because it was in my local area. It made me feel empowered, but not empowered like powerful, empowered like I could possibly help enlighten people to this. Everybody already knows about neurodivergency. The problem is they apply it only to children. We just need to have the statement of this is what we do for autistic kids. Use an ampersand and put and adults. I don't know if you can see this, but this is my favourite safest space in my town because of this. This is sensory for me. So being here doing this makes it safer. Even if it only affects one neurotypical person, to having just a little bit more empathy for the differences of all people. And that maybe then they might, I don't know, in some way make space for that.
Thank you, Lauren, for sharing your story. I'm sure it has helped lots of people out there. We're going to continue this conversation because earlier I spoke to Pete Hughes. He's from Leeds Autism Services. I asked him if we're getting better as a society at being supportive of others.
Autism is a hidden disability. You can't tell by looking at someone if they're autistic. And I think people are more understanding, but I think we've got a way to go before people have really got a grip of it and a good understanding of the challenges that autistic people face.
So what's the best way of approaching it to be as supportive as we can be?
Be yourself, be relaxed around autistic people. You don't know. Everyone will have met an autistic person, they might not have known about it. And being non-judgmental is probably one of the most important things. If someone's got a behaviour or something they do that seems slightly quirky but it's not causing anyone any harm or upset, then just don't judge people on it.
Just let them be themselves.
Yes. Treat people with kindness and respect.
Peter, thank you.
Thank you.
Kindness and respect, it's what we should all be doing, isn't it? Let's talk about sport now. Sheffield United host Tottenham Hotspurs in the FA Cup 5th round tonight. It'll be a big challenge for the Blades as their opponents are 4th in the Premier League. Mark Ansell is live at Bramall Lane for us tonight. You got the best spot there, pitch side, Mark. What a match.
Certainly it's going to be a big game for Sheffield United and a really tough challenge whether they can overcome Spurs, who, as you say, are 4th in the Premier League. This time next week, Spurs will be playing AC Milan. Tonight they're playing Sheffield United. However, get this, if Sheffield United win, they'll make it through to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup for the 3rd time in 4 seasons. So they've got a great track record in this competition. And it's a match that Paul Heckingbottom, their manager, is looking forward to. He reckons it's going to be a special night.
I think you can see his approach in every game, and whichever players have been on the pitch, we want to win the games. And Wednesday will be no different, other than the calibre of player and the calibre of team we're playing against. We can't get much better than that. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a special night and one that everyone should enjoy. Staff, players and the fans, because if we don't enjoy it, we're not going to win anyway.
I'm joined by Carl Saba, the former Sheffield United striker, who's a co-commentator on Radio Sheffield tonight. Carl, as the rain falls, how can Sheffield United beat Spurs tonight?
Well, they've got to bring full energy and commitment and get the fans involved. You know, the fans at Bramall Lane can turn it into a real cauldron and make it very intimidating for the opposition.
You've played in an FA Cup semi-final for Spurs. How do you actually go about tackling Premier League opposition?
Well, you try your hardest. You know, it's what you aspire to be. You want to pit yourself against the best, and you know, whatever team that go out tonight for the Blades, they're going to give their all.
And why has the season been so successful for the Blades? They're second in the Championship, looking good for Premier League promotion.
They're a really good team. They've got really good individuals, and they put it together with a team ethic. So, you know, it's no surprise to a lot of us who watch the Blades regularly that they're up there, but it's a very tricky spell they're going through at the moment.
And Carl, a score prediction for tonight?
2-1 to Blades.
2-1 to the Blades. 2-1 to the Blades. You heard it here first. Well, last night, Leeds United exited the FA Cup as they lost 2-0 away at Fulham. And in League Two, Harrogate Town drew 1-1 with Northampton. But it was Bradford City who really stole the show with an impressive 2-0 win away at Gillingham. The victory lifts the Bantams back up into the playoff zone and came thanks to goals from Richie Smallwood and Andy Cook. Bradford now sit in 6th position in the League Two table. And kick-off here at Bramall Lane is at the slightly unusual time of 7:55. It's live on BBC Radio Sheffield and on BBC One. We're all hoping for an FA Cup upset, aren't we, Carl?
Yes, definitely.
Back to you, Amy.
Mark, thank you. Mark can't contain his excitement, can he, been that close to the game tonight? Let's stay with a sporting theme, shall we? Yorkshire University has launched a new study into the benefits of walking cricket. The sport is growing in popularity amongst retired people who say the health and well-being and social benefits are brilliant. Olivia Richwald went along to find out more.
This is walking cricket. There's a bat, a ball, stumps and 2 teams trying to win. The average age of the players is, well, you could say they've all had a good innings and would rather count runs and wickets than years lived. The sport helped Dorothy settle in Yorkshire after a move north.
The thing I enjoy about walking cricket is the friendship first and foremost. They're a most wonderful group of people.
The players bat in pairs and each pair gets 4 overs. If you hit the side wall, it's either 1 or 2 runs, but the target, of course, is the back wall, the boundary. It's 4 if you hit the back with a bounce and 6 without a bounce.
Points are lost for wickets, no balls, and if you hit the ceiling, you score nothing. In charge today is Mac. He founded the first walking cricket team in the UK in Barnsley, and even mobility problems haven't stopped him taking part.
I decided to retrain as an umpire with the ECB. So they tell me I'm the oldest umpire that's ever trained to be an umpire. So you're never too old. Wide. I manage the Yorkshire team as well. And in June this year, we have our first county match against Worcestershire.
The benefits of staying active in older age are already well known. But now the University of Huddersfield is studying the social benefits too.
If there are large social well-being benefits, which we think there will be, then there's potential there for that to be prescribed as a physical activity for older adults that can not only be beneficial in terms of maintaining strength, but also in terms of improving social well-being and mental health.
But the comradeship's everything. As long as you enjoy it with people, that's the main thing. And that's what it does, it brings people together.
I've always taken my children to play cricket and I never thought I could do it. And it's all for the fun, is to learn and laugh, live, and above all, be happy.
Oh, fantastic. My mother-in-law does walking netball and she loves it. There's a whole community that does it. First day spring today. Miserable though, isn't it? It doesn't feel like spring.
I mean, the proper definition's when the sun crosses the equator, so it's March 21st. But I mean, yes, the other definition is spring's today, and it was pretty grey, but you've been sending your pictures in, and I thought that summed it up brilliantly, because there's been some really heavy showers around, but the daffs are out. in Rye Hill, as they are on the next picture. That's near Barnsley, I think. That's a lovely shot. And the third one, which has been selected, the crocuses in Fulford.
Crocus or croci?
Either. If you look in the dictionary, you can get away with either. Thanks, Gary, for sending those in. And if you want to get your picture on the telly, Twitter, Instagram, or the Weather Watcher website. So subtle improvements over the next 24 hours. The showers will gradually move away, fizzle out, and I think most of us should be dry tomorrow. Still, though, a lot of cloud around, thick enough perhaps to give the odd shower, but as I say, most of us will be dry. A bit brighter as well, so a little bit more of a positive forecast for you over the next 24 hours. High pressure is in charge, so Friday, Saturday, again, mostly dry, rather cloudy, some sunny spells, and then a bit of a change. We will get colder air coming through on Sunday and into next week, so a bit of a cold spell next week, and any shower, I think the air will be cold enough for any showers to be of sleet and snow. Some of us will see the first snow since last winter. Some places have not seen any snow at all this winter, but a bit to come next week. Now, overnight it stays cloudy. Any showers will pull away westwards. We might even see a few breaks coming in from the east, but most of us will have another cloudy night, and as a consequence, it's going to be largely frost-free, with temperatures falling back to 3 or 4 degrees. Tomorrow's high water times: in Scarborough, just after midnight, Bridlington at 1:45 in the morning. So it's a mostly dry, cloudy day with some breaks coming through, a little bit of sunshine in places if we look at just a chance of the odd shower in the afternoon, but they will be very isolated features. Temperatures close to average, definitely on the chilly side though, 8 Celsius, 46 Fahrenheit. Friday and Saturday, very similar forecast, but there's the hint. Sunday next week, temperatures dropping away, some sleet and snow showers in the forecast. That's the forecast.
It's World Book Day tomorrow. You must remember that from when your girls were
I
at
do remember,
school.
yes.
I have a whole pile of cardboard and silver foil waiting for me at home to create a Mandalorian masterpiece. I'll let you know how that goes. We'd like to know how your children and grandchildren are celebrating tomorrow. They're celebrating everything about reading, and we'd love to hear and see your images and videos. You can send them to us by searching online, bbc.co.uk/send Yorkshire. Send them in. We can't wait to see them all and celebrate with you. Good night.